From getting her acting debut to becoming a global sensation, Millie found her start on Netflix's Stranger Things, and now she's ready to say goodbye to 11. But first, does the star actually want to leave the show? Short answer, yes. But not on a sour note. In a recent interview with 17 magazine, the Enola Holmes star commented on the hit show ending after its 5-year run. Of course, we can all give this series a huge round of applause for what it's accomplished, from an insane number of awards to no one being able to look at fairy lights ever the same. It's not an understatement to say that Stranger Things has become a moment in cinematic history, and a big part of that was Millie Bobby Brown, a 12-year-old rising star that took the world by storm with her lead performance of 11.
Where is she?
I'm sorry. Where is who?
But this actress is certainly ready to make peace with this incredible chapter of her life closing. I mean, can anyone blame her? As fantastic as it all must have been from the other side of the curtain, we saw her grow through her teenage years as this character. Now, hopefully, it's not the Harry Potter effect where people can't seem to imagine the actors as anyone else. But just to make sure that doesn't happen, her statement isn't surprising. And I think we can all accept why she'd want this show to end, though that is certainly not the main reason. Of course not. Millie's want to create as an artist goes beyond just this one show. I think that's very obvious by the number of projects she continues to work on, going from other hit series to starring in films alongside Hollywood elite like Henry Cavill in the Enola Holmes series. Come on! She doesn't want any limits on where her creative potential goes. And how awesome is that? Brown also commented how she's now able to create her own stories about things that are important to her. So of course, she's gonna want to focus on that, still taking all the lessons that Stranger Things could show her. But even if that's not the case, she'll certainly not be out of work anytime soon with how coveted her work is in Hollywood, especially with Netflix, who she's worked with for her new movie, Damsel, that's coming out on October 13th this year. See, if you know anything about the hardcore women she's been starring as, you know she's getting her pick now for projects that feel like her. But all her comments bring up is a very interesting question. Does she think the writers have run out of ideas? Has this story reached its end? Well, I guess that answer kinda depends on who you're asking. For Millie at least, these characters have fought enough Demogorgons for their lifetime, but she isn't the only cast member who seems ready for this show to end. That's right, at this point, if the showrunners don't end the series, there's going to be some people jumping off the board. And one of them would be the best chief ever, Mr. Jim Hopper, aka David Harbour. About a month ago, Harbour officially said that it was time for the show to end after nearly 9 years of shooting it. Now, first off, how in the world has it been 9 years? Time isn't real. Secondly, putting it in perspective like that, yeah, I can certainly agree that there are very few stories that can last that long. Well, and not feel like they're running on fumes. No shade, of course. And come on, guys, he's right. As much as I hold these characters close as y'all, the story can and hopefully will have to end. Besides, this cast is way too talented to be attached to just one thing for more than 9 years of their life. Don't you think so? Though if that doesn't convince your sentiment enough, hey, I get it. But think of it like this. Knowing these writers, they're gonna start killing people off. Just because they were kind before doesn't mean they'll do it again. And yes, I'm still not forgiving them for Eddie, but moving on, David's right. We've got to get hyped for what's next for these young talents, because if they've already done so much, there's so much potential. And that doesn't mean they won't work together again. I mean, with the waves Sadie Sink and Millie have made in Hollywood, they have to. After all, if there's one incredibly wholesome thing to come out of this show, it's got to be Eleven and Max's friendship. Even more than that, the actors seem like sisters to each other. And with the credits that Sadie is getting recently, oh, they've got to do more collabs. Though don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to make this show wrap up sooner than it will. Trust me, I'll be what the fandom and hordes of tissues will certainly need for the end, but that fear certainly goes above and beyond for Sadie, and I'm sure a lot of other cast members as well. She'd said in an interview last year that she's honestly terrified to say goodbye for this show to end, which is, of course, valid. Come on, this show, more or less, gave the cast a second home, so it makes sense that she wouldn't want to see it go. But I'm not alone when I say she doesn't need to worry. If you've seen what she's been up to in the industry these days, oh, she'll be just fine. And with that, she could partner up with Millie on her upcoming projects, especially since Brown has begun her directorial debut in helping young Eleven understand her role. Yep, her talents don't seem to end, do they? Though I will say, just because Stranger Things is ending, it doesn't mean that the universe will. And that could mean Eleven might return. That's right, not to get anyone's hopes up, but we might see our telepathy queen in some spin-offs. But again, just so no one gets the wrong ideas, this is just a theory. Of course, no one's got any idea about what the Duffer Brothers are cooking up, but I can confirm that they've hinted that spin-offs could happen. And honestly, would any of us be surprised if they did? The number of stories you can tell in this universe seems endless. Season 4 proved that, though the theory on what Eleven's role will be in any of them, or if she'll be there, would depend on what her fate is in the upcoming season. Speaking of which, how do you guys think her story would come to an end?
Do you think you can find her?
No way. We know there's about to be a huge battle coming up, but can Eleven make it out the other end? And what's going to be the cost? I mean, an important part of the direction the Duffers choose will be Millie's input. So what does Eleven want her final chapter to be? Look, there's no way I'm not going to seem biased here to someone, but just thinking of that question, I've got some answers. First, I don't think we want her powers gone. Yes, if there's not a war or the Upside Down seems gone forever, I get the appeal. But come on, we went through that in season 3, right? Yeah, at that point, her friends needed help as well, but I feel like she made them truly a part of her at that point. She wanted them back for her friends and herself. So of course, that'd just seem cheesy, right? And if not that, let's just not even touch her dying at some point. More than anything, I think Millie would be against that because she's suffered enough, and so has Hopper, which leaves us with the world going on a bit better than when we didn't know about everything. But would that be satisfying? Maybe. But to see what happens, we're certainly gonna have to wait. Till then, that's how Brown really feels about Stranger Things ending.
No, I'm just so upset that, you're not here to say goodbye to me. Please just come back to base camp. I'm leaving now.
Okay, Mel, okay, I'll be there.
He gets to base camp.